Lucy, you're back.
Yay! I'm back. I'm feeling better.
Good. It worried us for a bit last week.
I know, it wasn't very nice.
No.
Although I did actually very much enjoy watching the video that you did in hospital.
So you're up to speed with what everybody's been.
Yeah, I am.
Everybody's been doing.
And it was nice to see your face.
Oh, thank you.
That's alright, we can carry on now.
Anyway, it's lovely to have you here. It was a bit weird last week being here.
Talking to yourself.
On my own, talking to myself. So, anyway, yeah. So you saw what we did last week with the botanical drawing.
The basics.
The basic stuff, and just exploring, using mixed media and natural
And
forms.
using there's the lilies.
My lilies that are starting to, they still smell really lovely.
They do smell really nice.
But they're, I'm not sure how much longer they're gonna last now. But lots of pictures up, and I've been doing, I've been
Shall I?
making. Yeah, go on then. Do a little quick.
There's the-
Yeah, that one's not very good.
Oh, okay, sorry. Shouldn't be showing that one.
But,
There we go.
well,
We've got
there's
an
a-
array
there's
of
a sample
experimental drawings going on.
of bits and pieces. So I was making walnut ink, which was very interesting.
That's very
So there's
fancy.
some pictures on Instagram about the walnut ink. Anyway,
Right.
so this week
Oh,
is
botanical art.
botanical sort of illustration,
Okay.
which last week I said was very different, and this week we're just going to have a look at how different it is and what it is and what it's used for. I've in the handout. Yeah. Again, lots of links to mainly Kew Gardens, lots of videos,
Nice.
and botanical artists and illustrators working, and lots of examples of some artists' work. Jessica Shepherd, I would recommend looking at her leaves. Absolutely amazing.
What?
All right.
What's with her leaves?
They're just amazing. They're huge. She's done them on A1 pieces of paper, and they're watercolours, and they're just
Are they just? Is illustration more detailed?
more detailed. So illustration or botanical drawing is really about conveying accurate information. It's a visual
Oh, okay.
It's to
So like-
create a visual document.
It's like what you see in history books and things.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And artists and scientists have worked side by side. So you have scientists who will describe what a plant might be, what it might look like,
Yeah.
what its component parts are, and the artist will illustrate those. So
parts.
you've got that side by side.
Yeah.
Right. So it is a type of drawing which is about accuracy. And
Oh, Lord.
often close up. I know. Oh Lord, close up. So that's the difference. I'm not expecting them to spend hours and hours upon hours of time doing
Unless you
a
want
botanic-
to.
unless they want to, a botanical illustration.
Yeah.
Because you will see they do take hours and hours.
Yeah.
Right. For us, why I've included this in sort of the programme is that it's a different type of drawing, so it's good to look at different types of drawing and different ways of drawing. But also it's about getting their observational skills just up to another level.
Yeah.
It's about looking a little bit deeper, a little bit closer, trying to put a bit more detail into their drawing, but also trying to record something as accurately as they can. Right.
Yeah.
So what I've done, I've got lots of examples of exercises that they can try, so they can choose whatever they.
That's all on the tutorial.
That's all on here.
Switching forward.
So that's whatever they want to do. So I want to recommend a couple of things first.
I know, I saw this, it looks good.
This is really good. So
Right, I'm going to lean in.
really lovely little book called Just Draw Botanicals.
Alan Birch.
Right. So it's
Yeah, nice.
and it's a fantastic little book because it has lots of examples of different types of drawing and painting and how to do that. And the other one that I will recommend is this one, which is Botany for the Artist by Sarah Simblett.
Yep.
Right.
That also looks...
And actually, last week in my email to everybody, I recommended a Royal Academy drawing experience, life drawing experience with Sarah Simblett, and she talks about drawing, and in a really good way, very akin to what I say, which is always reassuring. Right?
Yeah.
So, what I want to do just for briefly is I'm not going to sit here and do a whole botanical illustration because one, that would be really tedious for them. But I just want to talk about some things that they can do to try and draw accurately.
Yeah.
Trying some, you called it cheating earlier, to get proportions right.
I think it's genius.
Okay. So I've come up.
Love a bit of cheating.
So two different approaches. All right.
Yeah.
You'll see that if you look at some of the videos, botanical artists or illustrators will use something that they call dividers, proportional dividers or just dividers, which are basically look like a compass, but it doesn't have a pencil in one side, 2
Okay.
points. All right. This is a large version of that. This is a Derwent proportional and enlarging tool.
Yeah.
Right.
Kind of looks like scissors.
Yeah. So
So
really,
that's a big one.
this is a big version, really useful. And these are useful for if you want to enlarge something, because of traditional convention for botanical art is the scale is 1:1. In other words, you produce it exactly
Like
the same.
for like.
Yeah, like for like. Right. Whereas these will help you to enlarge, and obviously you can put the slider, the point, at any point along here, and that will give you a different enlargement.
So how do you use them?
How do you use them? So if I've got my beetroot here.
Beetroot.
for
Okay, I
example.
might just move that out of the way so I can see the beetroot.
My dying rose.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've got the beetroot. So what I would do is take a measurement using this, say across there. So other thing for getting close up is close one eye. Really good for just making sure that you've got your eye in. So I've taken a measurement across there, so which is that from there to there.
Yeah.
And then what you do, if you want to do and you want to enlarge it, you turn it over like that, put it on your paper, there's my pencil, and then you make a couple of marks. And that gives me an accurate enlargement of
The beetroot.
the beetroot.
But if you want to do it like for like, then you'd use the small end.
Like for like, you would just use that, like that.
Yeah.
All right, and you just record it like that, which comes up with then my little natty
Invention.
because I don't have any dividers apart from those ones there, so I've come up with my little measuring device. So in other words, my dividers are 2 kebab sticks and an elastic band.
That's perfect.
Okay. All right. So basically, take 2 sticks and stick a wind elastic band round. Right.
Yeah.
And I've started to do a drawing here,
I'm
which
just going to cut your head off.
that's fine.
Just so I can.
Which is a measured drawing of the
Yeah.
Carla lily. All right.
Yeah.
And what I've done is, can you see what I'm doing there? It's like chopsticks. It's great. So although if you get a proper pair of drawing calipers or drawing dividers,
So you're measuring different parts of the plant.
so I'm taking that measurement, I'm holding that measurement, I'm putting it down, and again, just like I did before, I made a couple of marks.
Yeah.
And you keep doing that. You keep taking measurements.
Which is what you've done with this.
Which is what I've done here. So I've sort of took a measurement from the same point there to over that point, and then I went like that, and again I've made a couple of marks like that. So and you keep doing that, keep taking measurements, keep putting them on, and that way you can then basically just join up the dots and you get your basic cheat in place. All right, and that is drawing.
Genius.
And that is drawing something like for like.
Yeah.
All right, so that's one approach. All right, I would say if they want to do that and have a go at that, it's a good exercise. Helps them just to see how things are going.
Yeah.
But don't put it down then, and don't rely on it too heavily, because actually it can stop you from really looking.
Yeah.
Because the focus is spending so much time trying to do the measuring and looking down here that you're not actually spending the time really looking at the subject. All right. And the other piece of equipment that I've got is I have recommended maybe if they've got a magnifying glass. But I happen to have this.
I mean,
this is
slightly bigger than.
I don't expect people to have one of these at home.
Yeah.
I've got this because of when I'm doing really fine stitching.
Yeah.
Work. All right. But it's quite handy for also
looking at detail.
I can go in and go detail. I don't know if I put that like that, whether
We can see.
the camera will pick that.
Yeah,
Pick that up.
actually not bad.
Will it pick that up?
Yeah.
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 Okay. It just helps to
Yeah.
get into, a little bit more detail. But I'm not expecting people to have one of these or even necessarily a magnifier. The second approach really builds on what we did last week,
Yeah.
which is we're relying on our eye
Yeah. Putting down the shapes
and
first.
putting down the shapes first, which is what I've started to
See,
do.
I did watch it.
Thank you, Liz. You've remembered it as well,
I know.
which is just the main thing. Which is what I've started to do with this beetroot here. I love this, and I love all the shapes and things that are coming out of it, and all the stems and things. So I've started off by putting in and deciding what my basic size of my beetroot is going to be.
Yeah.
All right. Then I've started to look at shapes. I'm just putting some of these shapes. There's a leaf here, so I started to
Very light, isn't it?
very light. Keep it light because then it's easy to rub out. All right. And now the other thing that you can possibly see is that I've started to put guidelines in as well. Can you see these here?
Yeah.
So what I've done here is with my eye, I've drawn a line along, and I know that this part here, if I was to draw that line actually along here, that part is in relation to that part. This bit here is then in relation to this, and you keep doing this to start with, so you make sure. So if I was to draw a line across from this part of this leaf right across to here, it would fall about here. You do all of this first, so keep these basic shapes in. There's no real detail in to start with, but then what we can do is once we're happy with all of that, you can then start going in and refining your shapes. Okay, so we can see how
So going in with slightly heavier lines.
slightly heavier lines, but again I'm still keeping it. I've got a very sharp pencil as well.
What pencil are you
I'm just using a B on this.
Okay, so very light.
So I'm using sea white cartridge paper here. Keep looking at your subject, and then what will happen is we gradually build it up. To say, one level of detail and then you go into another level and you keep looking, so you're gradually just getting your eye, and the amount of detail that you're putting in increases.
Once you've got a good amount of detail in and you want to, are you using colour this week, or?
It's entirely up to them. If they're going to use things like coloured pencils is good.
Yeah.
So if they've got coloured pencils, they can layer those up and get some really nice colours going. Or if they want to try some watercolours,
Yeah.
they could have a go at doing a little bit of watercolour. You could even try doing, so if I've got this beetroot here, they could just do one section in colour. I quite like this leaf here. You've got this sort of lovely lime green, but
I
these,
can't quite see it.
no, you
But
can't. I know, but these beautiful. Anyway, it's got beautiful
Yeah.
sort of deep maroon veins on there, and I might do sort of a little bit of colour.
a patch
Just
just
to
to sort of show.
just to illustrate,
Yeah.
you know, because it's about deciding what do you want to show about that plant
Subject.
or your subject matter.
Yeah.
You know, what is, so think about before you set it up. So before I set this up, I thought about the composition, I thought about what I wanted to show,
Yeah.
and so look at it from
So
all
you could
angles.
go veg. You could go veg as well. You don't have to do just
No,
plants.
you can do.
So it includes all
It
all
includes
that.
everything. So you could even do some shells.
Mm.
You know, some those sorts
See, I
of
wouldn't have.
things.
I wouldn't have thought of that when you think of.
Seed pods,
Yeah.
beans.
So if you've been out on your, well, not on your daily walk
No.
anymore.
You know,
Your
yeah,
your many walks.
Your many walks now.
One.
You know, and it doesn't have to. I mean, I picked this because I actually quite like what the shapes and things of that. What's going on with this? So it doesn't
Yeah.
even have to be
Living.
living. You know, could be a
Yeah.
a dying. One of the other exercises that I've recommended is a seed packet. Get an envelope, and what you're doing is you're illustrating that plant for the seed packet. So
Oh, okay, yeah.
so it's all about
What are you trying to show?
what are you trying to show? Obviously, you want to try and relate that the seeds inside relate to this plant on the front.
Yeah.
So adapt your drawing and adapt your drawing technique to suit the purpose effectively. The other thing that I've recommended, one of the other exercises that I've suggested, is you could draw a weed
Yeah.
growing out of the pavement, growing out of
I've
a
got loads
wall.
of those in my garden.
And that's what I've said. I think most people have got all of that. So that's what I want them to do this week, because this is going to prepare them, hopefully, for
The detail
the
of
next few weeks, which is what we're going to be looking at: hands, feet, and then portraits.
portrait.
I've swapped them around, by the way. They might wonder, oh, we're doing portraits next week. No, I've swapped them around. We're going to do hands, feet, and then we're going to do the two portrait ones to finish up
Last.
with and last, because I want to gradually get us
Build up that detail.
Build up that detail. So last week, this week, shapes, and then getting into detail will hopefully lead us into what we're going to be doing over the next few weeks.
Ooh,
So that's the plan. It's lovely to have you back, Luce.
it's good to be back.
And so next week, folks, we'll be doing hands.
Hands. Okay.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.